All right, we're with Lou Lampson, jersey collector, authenticator extraordinaire. Lou, could you talk about how you got into collecting jerseys?
Been a while, been a long time. I probably started when I was like, without knowing it, maybe at age 6, 7. I had a cousin who pitched for the Chattanooga Lookouts, and he brought me home a Washington Senators jersey that he had gotten in spring training with the Senators, and I was fascinated by it. But I think the real roots of uniform collecting, I know a guy I collected with 30 years, a guy named Nick Capola's got just a tremendous collection. We both grew up 20 miles from each other, and we both started the same way. It really has its roots in going to ball games as a young kid and just seeing the color and the beauty of the uniforms. For example, for me, it was coming up in one of those tunnels on the first base side at Fenway Park. You see the green grass and the Red Sox, and you see the White Sox come in with those oversized names on the back in 1960, and you say to yourself, wow, I mean, this is the major leagues. In football, I had a similar experience, and I'll never forget it. It was 1962. The Patriots in the old AFL, very colorful league, challenged the NFL. They had their home opener at Harvard Stadium that year. It was a beautiful sunny day, coffee white clouds, and they played the Houston Oilers. The Patriots come out, and you come up to the tunnel again, and you see the green grass, and you see the Patriots with those helmets, those shiny red Doreen jerseys with tactical numbers. You see the Oilers with those baby blue helmets. I mean, it just gets, if you love uniforms, it gets etched in your psyche forever. And that's the way it started for me, going to the Celtics games at Boston Garden, the Bruins, and just seeing the bright lights of Bill Russell with his Celtics jersey, or you know, the likes of Johnny Busick and Orr and Sanderson with the Bruins. I mean, it's just, it's something that just got to me. Now, I collected cards as a kid. I collected saved ticket stubs and pennants, and you know what most collectors did. But it was really the uniforms. And I think I was a junior or senior in college, and a friend of mine, a real good friend named Steve Harris, he was my roommate in college, and he ended up being a beat writer for the Boston Herald, covering the Boston Bruins for 25 years. He saw a little ad in the Chicago Tribune which said, "Sports Collectors Show. Gum cards, pennants, yearbooks, uniforms," and he just like grabbed me, and so, what, are you kidding me? Uniforms? You can buy uniforms? So we borrowed a car, we went down to the Drake Hotel in Chicago. It must have been around 76 or so, 77, I don't know exactly. And I went to my first show. And shows had just started to become popular. They were in their infancy. We went to that show that day. I mean, I was a college student living on modest means. I came home with a Bill Melchione Nets, a jersey from each sport, a Wayne Garrett Mets flannel, and a James Scott Chicago Fire jersey.
You still have them?
I have 2 of the 3 actually. So yeah, I guess they're sentimental. But that's how it got started formally for me. I met a guy named Nick Capola shortly thereafter, and we grew up 20 miles from each other, as they say, didn't know each other growing up, and we just hit it off because we loved uniforms. We had cards, we had, you know, autographs and stuff. It paled in comparison to the uniforms. So we started collecting, and we'd go out and we'd get equipment managers, we'd start writing the players and tracking down players in parking lots and whatever. And it grew from there. Now, like everyone else, and I think other people in other facets of sports collecting, most of the kids started with baseball. We started as baseball uniform collectors. But we quickly branched out into football and basketball and hockey and a little track and field, a little auto racing, a little boxing. I can remember back in the early 80s, no one, late 70s, early 80s, you know, Barry Halper was into baseball, greats like Duke Hart and those guys, those pioneers, Dick Dobbins, they were into baseball jerseys, as we were. We were the first guys to go out and collect football and actively go after basketball and hockey. And I can remember one time at a national, must have been 82, 83, I followed a guy around with an Oscar Robertson jersey, beautiful Cincinnati Royals vintage with a
O on the back of it?
No.
No?
But it was unique because it had the vertical Royals down the side. It had that very thin, full arch block, 3.5-inch Robertson over the back, and I just tailed this guy around for a day and a half. And he wasn't sure he wanted to sell it. Finally, I think I bought it for $300 or $400. And the first thing anyone said to me wasn't congratulations. It was right in the middle of the floor in the National Blues. Are you crazy? You know how many sets of 64 tops you could have bought with that, or you know, 55 tops double headers? You know, the
now what's that worth?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Oscar Robertson's probably a $25,000, $35,000 shirt in that particular beautiful mid-'60s style. But it was funny because Nick and I, Coppola coined the phrase, you know, to us the uniform was the greatest tangible representation of an athlete's achievement in the heat of battle for a particular season. And we kind of lived by that credo. I mean, it was just, to us, it was the ultimate, you know. You give me a gold glove, you give me a trophy, you give me just an incredibly beautiful autograph picture, it meant nothing compared to the uniform. And, you know, obviously the more wear the better. Back then, teams, players, they wore a jersey for football, they wear them for 2 or 3 years. And they'd wear them in training camps and practices afterwards. Baseball, of course, they were sent to the minors, but you know, season-long wear is season-long wear. Nothing can beat it. And that's what we were after. We were after perfection. We were after the perfect 10. If you couldn't get a player that way, you'd take them in, you know, maybe with a name taken off the back or something, until you could find an upgrade. So, pretty much, that's the genesis of it. But I really, as I think back now, it was in our blood. You know, we just loved uniforms, and the chase, the hunt was always fun. And the display, see, some people, it's interesting. Some collectors love the hunt. Take a guy like Rick Cole, who's gone after players and competed with me with a lot of the old players and new players, and he loves the hunt. He doesn't have any jerseys displayed. He saves some for a while, then he'll move them, but he's got nothing displayed in his house per se. So Nick and I, we were the first guys, I can guarantee you this, the first guys at shows to rig up little staging and display uniforms, to bring mannequins to shows and put them up. And
that's what it's all about, right? Displaying them.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
that's why you like them so much.
If I had to keep my stuff in a closet or a vault, I mean, forget it, I wouldn't do it.